What is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on the Superman movie that's coming out in July. So apparently, according to Chris Gore from Film Threat YouTube channel, I will put the link down to the full video down below, there's been a new screen testing for the Superman movie. And if this is true, this really could change my whole opinion of the trailer. We're going to go over the information. So, if you're new around here, what the freaking hell are you doing? Make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, KG, Monsterverse, pop culture based content that I try to deliver on a daily basis. You could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below. How excited are you? Because the main trailer for James Gunn's Superman, it is very controversial. I've spoken to a lot of big creators behind the scenes, and it's not a straight win. It's very mixed when I speak to people behind the scenes. It's very different to seeing what people say on Twitter and seeing what they actually say to you when you're in a conversation. So, if you want to see that beautiful face behind the even more beautiful voice, check us out on Instagram at Warstu. Got a channel over there where I can post set leaks, set image leaks over there, and I don't have to risk getting a copyright claim or copyright strike. So I would generally put them over there if they come out like they have been doing with Avengers Doomsday and also Supergirl. Also, check us out on Twitter, WTF. Right, let's get into this video. So, full credit to Chris Gore from Film Threat, who posted a YouTube video yesterday saying there's been a new screen testing. And why am I reporting their information? Because I report everything. This has made itself over to Twitter, so a lot of people are talking about it because they actually go on and say, well, they don't say, they talk about what's in the post-credit scenes. It's very interesting. Like I say, the most recent trailer was very controversial. Not everyone liked it. YouTube views, 20 million views on a trailer, doesn't correlate to the movie making $1 billion. It doesn't have to make $1 billion, but it's got to do big numbers. So, according to them, the trailer, and they don't really give full context of what they mean, but they give enough information to make me think maybe this movie might actually be decent. So they said things in the trailer are misdirecting the audience. And then they go on to say, you remember Batman vs. Superman? There was a shot in that trailer where you know it's to do with the building. Basically what they're saying is, because I don't want to like literally say word for word what they said. They basically said there's a scene in Batman vs. Superman where you see something in the trailer and it doesn't necessarily come out like that in the movie. Now, Avengers Infinity War did this as well. Do you remember the Hulk part where it didn't portray that in the actual movie? So, but that's interesting in itself because studios can't mislead the audience massively. Like they can't sell you on a fake narrative. So what I think they're potentially on about is where Sawyer Boy, aka Superman, is about to beat Lois Lane up. And I think maybe they've changed the context of this whole scene. The whole interview that gets a bit like jaded in my opinion. And people online, if you think that, you don't know Superman. Get the hell out of here, lads. Everyone thinks they know who Superman is. It's a freaking alien, lads, at the end of the day. So what I think is, maybe they've mixed up this interview. I think maybe they've reshot a bunch. And we understand that scene is like 12 to 15 minutes long in the actual movie. So maybe there's something being like changed there. And we know the, super villain, let's call him, in the iron armor that is going at Superman probably isn't that. It's probably going to be Ultraman or could be Lex in his war suit, as there are rumors we get the Lex war suit. But it is very skeptical. Why? Because the people that worked on the Flash movie, which is trash, is basically working on this. So I'm a little bit worried, but yeah, because the Flash looked great and then people in it flopped. So, like I say, trailers looking good doesn't always correlate. But the most interesting part that they said is there's 2 post-credit scenes, which is standard. But what I find, I don't know if this is true. Like, I'm not saying their information is not true, but I question everything. Is usually test screenings do not include post-credit scenes. And also, I've heard other things, right? Okay, careful spoilers. I don't want to ruin your life. But if you check my content out, I know exactly why you're here. All freaking ready. So I heard that Batman makes an appearance in this movie in the post-credit scene, but he's not actually, like, visually, you don't, like, see his aesthetics. You don't see who it is. But according to this YouTube video, I will put it down below in the description box, is Brainy freaking Ack is in one of them. Brainiac. Now, I want Brainiac in live action. That will be freaking insane. Now, if that is the case, it tells me that they actually are thinking forward and it's not just a one-off movie like James Gunn has kind of implied. What do I mean? Well, James Gunn keeps alliterating and keeps saying, yo, if this movie doesn't do well, that's the end of the universe. That's the end of everything. But you've already filmed Supergirl in the UK. You're shooting the Lanterns HBO Max series. Now, they've flicked the name back from Max to HBO Max. So they are shooting projects and there is other projects in development. So it's not a one and done. So Brainiac is in one of them, but it's the second one. Okay, no, it's not actually. They're both on the same level. They both could be really cool. And one of them features Hal freaking Jordan. Yeah, you get it. Green freaking Lantern. Which, that could be insane. That really could be insane. So we know prior to this screen testing, if you look up screen testing on Twitter, for example, most of the screen testing now, people seem to like it, although it had a very silly undertone, yet at the same time was emotional, yet at the same time apparently people were crying because it was either that bad or good. You can't just say, like, if reactions come out saying, oh, it made some people cry, doesn't mean it's good. And then it says some innovational scenes and set pieces that have never been seen before. Not really. I can't really get my head around that because I don't think James Gunn has this kind of aura. But they seem quite divided, which I presume they will be because James Gunn's humor is very freaking weird. If you want to run this narrative that Superman is for kids, right? The lad's got underwear on the outside, right? An alien, but if you want to call him a man, it's even weirder, right? There's a pun in the trailer, up here, implying don't look at his underwear. Like, James Gunn's sense of humor just does not work for me. And it's apparent going on the Twitter sphere that James Gunn's kind of sense of humor doesn't work for a lot of people. But it is interesting how there is stuff in the trailer that is misleading. But we all want a good movie. Allegedly, or it's not allegedly, they did reshoots. Even James Gunn himself, after saying, no, it was just pickup shots, actually admitted they did reshoot. So we just want the best movie possible. I don't really care if it's comic book accurate, because comic book movies make money from the general audience who don't care for comic books, let's be honest. I know the X and Twitter sphere think the comic book fans are the only people who watch it. No, they're the minority. I think less than 1% of the audience will be comic book fans. But one of the most interesting things that this video came out with was that this was a very different version of the movie than was shown previously. As we know, when they film movies, there is a lot of stuff they take out and sometimes can put in later on. And maybe sometimes they show the same scene, but it's slightly different. But to release the main trailer 2 months before the movie comes out and have a misleading trailer, which is also the opening scene of the trailer, which is very strange because it's controversial, right? Which will get people talking about it on the internet. But why would you want to confuse a potential new audience? Because let's be honest, because of what Walter Hamada did, Toby Emmerich did at DC, no one's got any faith in DC. So it's not really a genius move to have misleading sequences in the first trailer, the first official trailer, although it's like the fourth actual trailer, to confuse the audience so the movie might not look as bad as it actually could be, because you've put some weird scene where Superman is turning into Sawyer Boy and looks like he's about to punch Lois Lane. Very weird, if you ask me, but it is more positive. It is more positive based on the information from Chris Goy at the YouTube channel Film Threat. But as anyone should know, information coming out from screen testing isn't indicative to the final product, because as we know, and this also happens when they're doing principal photography, aka filming, is movies are ever evolving, and the idea for screen testing is to tell the directors and the editors, but really the directors, what they like, what the audience doesn't like, what was confusing and what doesn't hit. And generally speaking, it's usually the ending of the movie that gets changed. Now, this has commonly happened with pretty much every Marvel movie. It's happened with a bunch of DC movies. So it's interesting, but it's more positive. So also in the news, marketing started majorly. They've even got a billboard, a video billboard in the middle of central London. that says London lookup. So they are definitely spending, because they did the same thing in New York Times Square for the trailer. They are definitely spending over 100 million on this marketing. But what I find hilarious, lads, is I think trackings for how well the movie's going to do is complete nonsense, right? But at least wait until the tickets are actually on sale. So apparently internally, they're expecting $155 to $175 million opening in domestic, meaning just America. They also said The Flash was going to do 140 domestically, and it did 70. Usually projections on how well the box office is going to do opening weekend, I think except for the Thunderbolts, usually they either overshoot the projections or they undershoot it massively. So then when it performs better than the projections, they go, oh my God, there's more interest. Because this is only really based off the interest online. It's not really indicative to how well said movie's going to do. Now, people keep saying, oh, it's going to break the internet when it comes out. If this Superman movie doesn't do 400 opening globally, then it won't be a success, in my opinion. Sure, it could be a grower, not a shower, but people keep saying how great it is. You got Yao, James Gunn, and world-class glazers. If this movie should really make, Avengers money opening weekend based on what some people are saying on Twitter. But for some reason, if you question what people are saying on Twitter, and you basically say the movie doesn't look very good, then all of a sudden, you're a Zack Snyder fanboy. Even some people that didn't like Zack Snyder's stuff don't like the way this trailer looks, because it does look quite childish and cringy in parts, and people are like, yeah, that is Superman. Superman's cringy. It's not really supposed to be cringy all the time, is he? Maybe sometimes, but it's interesting how people's minds work when it comes to this kind of stuff. Because it's not that deep, but like I say, I'm following this movie. I report the good and the bad. Not like other people that would just report the positive and will brush over the negative. But if them post-credit scenes are true, Brainiac, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, that would be absolute smoke. So likewise, guys, I will catch you in another video very soon. Catch ya later.